What's up, guys? Big Mike coming at you from the relative comfort of my living room. Recently I just got back, actually 6 days ago, got back from a little overnight backpacking trip with one of my younger brothers. We went out to Joshua Tree, hiked out, spent the night out in the wilderness, and then hiked back. We were kind of on a short time frame. We took a buddy of his who has football practice, and I had to work the next day, so we kind of had to limit our trip a little bit. But anyways, I got some gear for Christmas. It's now about the middle of January 2015, and I wanted to kind of do a post-hike gear setup kind of thing. So the first thing I want to go over is my cook set and food prep and all that. Now, some of the stuff that I have here I either didn't take with me or I had a different version. Some of my gear wound up staying at my brother's house because I borrowed a backpack and I didn't apparently clear out all the pockets. So anyways, we'll get started, and I'll kind of go through everything that I had here and give you my thoughts on it. Now keep in mind, these are my opinions. I've only used these things a couple times. Haven't done extensive multiple years usage with these things, but figured I'd throw it out there and see what you guys think. So we'll start off with my cook set. Now, the one that I took on the trip was the Gsi Pinnacle Soloist. Now, it comes with this plastic sippet lid, they call it, and it's got a notch in there. You can put it on top of the pot to sip out of that if you're feeling real frisky. Or comes with this cup that this lid, actually if you invert it, snaps into, and then you can sip out of there. And then on the other side of the lid here, I don't know if you can see that, but it's got little holes in it, and they say that you can straighten out noodles or anything like that. So this cook set comes with the pot, which I don't remember off the top of my head how many liters it holds. I want to say it's like 1.4 or 1.6 liters. Comes with this stuff sack that also doubles as a sink. Comes with the bowl with a little neoprene kind of cozy sleeve. The lid, collapsible, they call it a foon, which is their trademark name for a spork. And basically the way this works, it just kind of slides in and collapses on itself like that, and then you slide it open. Then it also comes with this little kind of felt bag for putting your stove in. It's got Velcro on it, so that way you don't scratch up the inside of your pot when you throw your stove in there. A couple things with this cook set. I don't take the spoon thing or the bowl with me. To me, it's extra weight that I really don't need, and honestly, from what I've heard about these things, they tend to flex too much to be in any sort of use, and they even come apart. So I don't like having the possibility that my gear is going to fail me out there, so I don't even bother bringing it. Instead, what I bring this Sea to Summit collapsible, I think this is the X mug. I got it in green. Most of my gear, if I have color options, I try and get in green because, number one, it's hard to lose. If you're digging around in your pack, you can see it in there. And I'm Irish, I like green. Sue me. This thing is really light, and it's really, it's not bad. It holds exactly 2 cups to the rim. It's got markings on the inside, both in standard and metric, if you use milliliters or if you need to use cups. Collapses down to less than ½ an inch thick, and it's about 4 inches diameter. And this weighs 2.2 ounces or 62 grams. So this is really nice, and it fits perfectly inside here, and I'll assemble this the way that I had it for my trip. It fits perfectly in here along with my stove, a fuel canister, and a couple other things. The cook set without the spork, I haven't weighed it without the bowl thing, is 10.6 ounces, and that's including the stuff sack. I kind of like having stuff sacks because it keeps everything together. You don't have to go hunting through your pack to try and find anything. And some people use rubber bands. Rubber bands break. I don't like that. Again, I don't like my gear to fail me when I'm out there. So that's the pot system and everything. Now the spork that I took instead was actually the titanium version of the Light My Fire spork. This is one of the things that wound up staying at my brother's house. I can't seem to find it. But it's actually really nice. It's really comfortable, and for me, it's long enough to get down inside like a mountain house or backpacker's pantry type dehydrated food bag. Once it's rehydrated, you can get down to the bottom and get the last little bit of things. And the nice thing about these, instead of it being a spork where you've got the tines on the spoon, which is no use when you're trying to eat soup, and honestly the fork is basically worthless on those things too. It's a great idea, but they do need to work on it. Light My Fire has come up with the perfect solution. This is an actual spoon and an actual fork together, and it's got a serrated edge up here, which I haven't tried yet. I don't expect it to cut through, you know, a 16-ounce porterhouse, but you know, for cutting little things, if you make like a lasagna type thing or whatever, it might be useful. This is the plastic version, and I got a case along with it. And this, with its case, weighs exactly 1 ounce. The titanium one by itself weighs 0.6 ounces. I like the titanium one because it doesn't flex as much. From what I've heard, these don't break very easily, but the titanium one doesn't flex as much, so I'm much more ready to just toss it in my pack and not have to worry about, oh shoot, did I snap it in half or crack the bowl on the spoon or whatever. So that's one nice thing, one of the many nice things about the titanium one over the plastic. And then the last thing for my cook set that I took was the MSR Pocket Rocket Stove. Now this stove is extremely reliable. It boils 2 cups of water inside of, I think it's like 4 minutes. It's really quick. It's really light. Comes with this really nice plastic case that fits perfectly around the stove, so you're not wasting as much space. And the design of it too is really nice because it can fit into those small little niches in your pack that would otherwise be wasted space. Now the stove and the case together weighs 3.9 ounces. This is one of the lightest stoves, one of the lightest canister stoves out there. There's other ones that are pretty close. I think the Soto is a little bit lighter, and MSR actually has a micro rocket, which is even smaller than this one, but it comes with a piezo lighter or igniter that puts the weight to about the same as this one. Now this actually, believe it or not, failed me out in Joshua Tree. And the reason it did was it was so bloody windy out there, I could not get this thing to light. I wound up having to use my brother's stove, which was one of the cheap, like $6 ones that you can buy on Amazon. The little cheap backpacking stoves that have the little clicker lighter on there, and away you go. But this thing just wouldn't light for me. I don't know why. It was really windy. It was a little chilly. I'd say maybe high 40s, low 50s. So that may have been part of it. And then the fuel canister. I'm not going to tell you the price because this is a little bit older, and you know, prices may vary depending on where you are. You won't ever catch me telling you a price on something unless it is across the board. For example, the $6 stove on Amazon, that's across the board. If you hunt around, you can find this cook set for a lot cheaper than I paid for it. Same with the stove, same with the sport, everything. So you won't ever catch me telling you the price of things. So the way that I had this set up for this particular trip, and this is apt to change, I wanted a little bit more capacity because I was using dehydrated meals, and also wanted coffee basically out of the same pot. So I filled up what I needed for the dehydrated meal, threw in an extra cup and a half for my coffee, and I didn't have to worry about double boiling. And that's where this, the X mug came in, because once I had this thing boiling, I knew that I had 3.5 cups of water in there, and I needed 2 for my dehydrated meals. So I filled this up until it said 1.5, dumped the rest in my pouch, the dehydrated meal pouch. So the way I had this set up was I had the pot, and I actually had a, which I don't have with me, oh, here it is. I got this guy on Amazon as well. This was cheap, it was a couple bucks. Unfortunately, it's supposed to kind of mock the design of the Jetboil stove stabilizer that they have, the little folding 3-legged guy. I did bring this just in case I was in a spot where I felt like I needed extra stability. I wound up not needing it because where we camped there was a sandy spot that I was just able to kind of dig my canister down into, and it was perfectly stable. So I had this in the bottom, stove, fuel canister on top. I had this little bit of Scotch-Brite pad, which I used to clean up. And I stuffed it in there to keep things from rattling around. And then I had, I'll do a video on these. This is basically just a straw with some spices and sealed off at the end. And then a little bottle of Tabasco. Then I took my stove, because the stove doesn't actually fit inside the pot with the case. It fits just perfectly in this little belt sack. So I had all that, and then I put the mug on top, and then the stove. Then I had just a little Gsi salt shaker filled with salt and pepper. Then the lid, and the handle flips over, locks that in, had that in the stop stack. All together, including fuel, 1 pound, 1 ounce. Yes, it's heavy, I know. Thank you, all you ultralighters. I'm working on lightening up what I'm carrying. For this trip, I knew we were going to be doing just short days, short hike, stay the night and coming back. I didn't really care about weight. I was borrowing a pack anyways. My old pack broke and I haven't gotten a new one yet. So all said, for an overnight trip, and I'll talk about the rest of my gear too, I wound up carrying a total of 38 pounds. That's including all the consumables and my base weight. So this was my cook set. Now, one thing that I'm doing, and I saw this on another YouTube channel, I believe it was Surviving on the Cheap. If you want to check them out, they're really good, cool couple guys. They do a lot of real funny stuff, and you know, they're really cool. But what they do, they have this Gsi How You Like Minimalist. Now the Minimalist is just that, minimal. You get a neoprene cozy, an aluminum, Gsi's proprietary coating is How You Like. If you're interested, you can look it up. I think it's gsioutdoors.com. This silicone pot gripper, which has a little magnet on it, so you can stick it on the canister while you're actually boiling. One of these collapsible sport things, which again, I don't even bother with. And the lid. Now the lid can be used 2 ways. It's got this rubber seal around it. You can seal it off and then sip from the top, and it's sturdy plastic. It's not as flimsy as this one. I mean, this one you can see me flexing. This one's really strong. Or you can flip this over if you need to let something kind of rehydrate or just kind of stay warm. But if you're going to be sipping from it, you do want to make sure that it's sealed on there. Otherwise, when you go to take a drink, the lid's going to fall off. It's going to end up in your lap. That's no fun. So what I've seen the other guys on YouTube do is they take this, they have one of the little Amazon stoves and a fuel canister, stick that in there, take this X mug, you can pop up, you know, just the largest of the rings here, stick it right on top, boom, cookset. And it's like around 9 ounces, I think, including the fuel, which isn't bad. The Amazon stove is actually really light, surprisingly. I think it's about the same, or maybe just a hair lighter than the Pocket Rocket. This is 3.9, I want to say that one's like 3.8 or 3.6 ounces. So that's my cook set. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel, check out my other videos. I've got videos on my bivy sack that I used. I'll go over all the rest of my gear, and in the future I'll be uploading actual videos of me out hiking and doing trips and everything. I live really close to Idlewild in California, so I'll be going up there quite a bit, and plan on getting a bunch of new gear and trying stuff out. So stay tuned. This is Big Mike coming at you again, and thanks for watching.